at the Rose Bowl. I'm talking to, what is your name?
Bill Doggett.
What's your name
Bill
again?
Doggett.
Bill Doggett. Would you spell your last name, please?
D-O-G-G-E-T-T.
Now, Bill, I understand that you currently are from the San Francisco area, but you're thinking about moving to Southern California. At least that's what I've been hearing. Is that true?
That is correct.
And what is your motivation for coming down here?
The money is here. Show me the money.
The money is here. Now, are you what you call an ephemera dealer, or how would you classify the kind of things that you sell?
I'm a mid-century magazine dealer. I specialize in the vintage newsstand. That's my logo. It's mid-century Life magazines, Look magazines, Collier's.
And you've been doing this for what, about 15 years or so?
I've been doing this since about the late 90s, approximately 1997. I started at the Modern Times show.
With Tawny Show.
At the Glendale Civic. And then I also did the Bustamante Antiquarian Book and Print and Paper Fair that was at the Pasadena Center. And then I also did shows in the Bay Area, specifically the Art Deco show with Peter and Debbie Kurtevsky, and then I did PMA in San Mateo. So those are the shows that I'm most...
Well, good. And I was wondering, since you have dealt with this stuff, you probably have considerable expertise.
Yes.
So of the magazine covers that you've seen over the years, what would you say is one of the, if not the best magazine cover, the most influential, most important, greatest magazine cover that you have seen?
One of the greatest magazine collectible one of them is a Life magazine that I sold today.
And what,
which is the Batman cover.
The Batman cover. What year was that?
That was Adam, I'm not sure the
the Adam West one, so
yeah, thank you.
about 1968 or so.
1966.
1966. So when the television show came on.
This was a huge...
How much did you get for that?
$60.
And so is there another one that you can think of? I can
Similar? Yes.
Well, was another cover, either Life or any other magazine that is an important one or influential?
There are two.
And what's the other one?
The other one is the famous Oswald cover.
The Oswald cover, and what happened there?
That's a famous collectible.
What does it look like, though?
It's a black and white with red, a classic mid-60s, I think it's 64. It's the famous doctored shot of Lee Harvey Oswald holding the rifle. It's a very famous shot, and that's one of the more collectible.
You say it's doctored. So he was,
according to the conspiracy theorists.
Well, when the conspiracy theorists, their point is that he was not holding that rifle.
Right. They say they can see the shadow that actually the photograph was doctored.
And
but at the time that it was published, it was not known to be doctored. The American public did not know that.
You looked at it for what you know of such matters. Do you think it was doctored?
Potentially.
Potentially,
meaning that I'm not going to go there and get involved in the dynamic there. But according to many,
okay, so you mean possibly? Okay, but you're not really sure one way or the other.
Right, I'm not going to go there. But
Good.
According to many, it is.
Now, recently, Vanity Fair has published a picture of the new Bruce Jenner.
Yes.
Now, do you think that will become one of the important covers? Let's say. The same photographer did one of Demi Moore.
Yes, I know that. Yes,
and
what's her name? Yeah.
And that that has become a very important cover. There has been takeoffs on that cover. It's been spoofed.
The photographer's name is Annie Leibovitz.
Yeah,
Leibovitz has done a lot of very iconic covers.
But what about that cover? Do you think that the Bruce Jenner cover? Do you think it would not be?
No, I don't think this has the same. It's basically it's collectible as the Kim Kardashian, picture of her with her rear end is nude is collectible, but I don't think it's going to have any iconic lasting impact.
Is there one that
Caitlyn Jenner is simply a statement of this 60-ish-year-old former male who is now this beautiful woman, transfigured and made to look quite desirable by this image of Annie Leibovitz, and I think that's fine. I think it's a great document of the transition. Whether anyone, and it will be a collectible magazine for the cover, but whether it will have any lasting, iconic design effect, no, I do not.
Well, do you think, let's say, I guess it's my opinion that of the magazines that has come out, that it will be one of the few that will do so. Sure. Is there one that you would say would be a more likely candidate to be a cover that will be known for generations to come, as I believe it will be, as the Demi Moore was. Is there one that you can think of that's recently come out that you would say, with your expertise, having done this, seen all these, when you see a cover, you probably are in a position to know whether it's going to survive. So is there one that comes to mind of a more recent one that you would say, that's going to be the cover to collect?
I hear you. I'm thinking. I don't. One of the Barack Obama and Michelle Obama covers for either New Yorker or for Vanity Fair. One of those. I'm not sure which issue.
And what about that photograph made it so interesting?
Probably more the political sarcasm impact. I think there's one of them. I don't know how recent it is, but there's an issue there. They're dressed up as militants. I think that.
Okay. So it was a phony, that version of them.
You're right. It's not. It's more of a mock. It's kind of a satirical mock. That will be collectible.
Now, do you think more collectible than the latest Annie Leibovitz one?
I think so. Yes. Only because we go from 2015 to 2018 still talking about issues around race relations, and the end of the Civil War and the beginning of Reconstruction. The 150th anniversary of the end of slavery is officially December, I think, 5th of this year, or somewhere in the early, it's between the 5th and the 8th, when Congress in 1865 signed the 13th Amendment, which officially outlawed slavery. So you will hear about that later this year. Then comes the beginning of Reconstruction, where you have the Freedmen's Bureau, and you have the federal government enforcing the rights of African Americans to be treated as equal citizens. They were, of course, slaves before. So to see Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, who will soon be exiting as the first African-American president and first lady, covers dealing with them either directly or in a satirical way will be collectible and more memorable, because you're talking about someone who will likely be the only African-American president and first lady in our lifetime. There will be other Caitlyn Jenners, as there were Christine Jorgensen's.
But Christine Jorgensen.
But I'm saying
was only
doing the transgender, going from male to female.
No, it's more like OJ. OJ, his crime was important because he was OJ who did it.
Right.
It wasn't because somebody committed a murder. Christine Jorgensen was just somebody who did it, whereas Bruce Jenner had been someone we knew. I was wondering about the Norman Rockwell cover of the Post that showed this is the one that shows the little girl, and about 1965, and I think it was called "The Problems We All Face." And this little black girl, she's like 5 or 6 years old, and in front of her are a couple police officers, and she's just sort of walking along. And it was his attempt to show the beginnings of the civil rights movement. Are you familiar with that one?
I'm not familiar with the cover, but I'm familiar with the image and similar images. Yes, I think that
it actually never was a cover.
Okay,
it's just that as you know, Norman Rockwell, he was from the Post, so we think of that. Actually, he was the centerfold of Look magazine.
That's fine.
And I
would say with that, what I have to say about all of that, it continues to be timely. None of it, and as many people have said, and I can speak directly to this, when we look at what's going on, what has gone on in Charleston recently with the murder of the 9 at the church at Mother Emanuel in Charleston, you look at the issue around the Confederate flag, you look at all of the drama around the ducks and all about, blacks were better off as slaves. All of this conversation about race relations, the place of blacks versus whites, and then, of course, in particular, all of the unfortunate deaths of African-American young men and older men at the hands of police for whatever reasons, that all of these topics and the topics showcased in all of the mid-century magazines, Life magazines, Look magazines, that talk about integration, talk about civil rights movement, talk about Medgar Evers, the church bombing, interesting, of 1964, all of that is still relevant and topical today because we're still there in so many ways. I mean, at least for African Americans, and I think also for a lot of progressive people that were there, that were helping, and this has come up a lot in the Bay Area, talking about connections and conversations about politics. So there were many veterans of the civil rights movement who were in Mississippi and Alabama in the summer of 1964 and 1965, 50 years ago, trying to help blacks register to vote. And here we have the Voting Rights Act of 1965 that there's a certain amount of, what do they